Every morning at dawn, Emma Hayes stood in the massive kitchen of the Broken Arrow Ranch, preparing breakfast for 30 hungry cowboys. She'd been doing it for 3 years, ever since the old owner died and the ranch fell into the hands of some mysterious heir no one had ever met. The work was brutal, the pay was modest, but Emma needed it. She had nowhere else to go. What she didn't know was that the quiet drifter who'd shown up 2 weeks ago, the one who ate last and spoke least, wasn't just another ranch hand passing through. He was the owner, and he'd been watching her every single day, trying to decide whether to save the ranch or sell it, and whether she was part of the problem or the only reason worth staying. This is that story. Emma Hayes had arrived at Broken Arrow Ranch 3 years earlier with nothing but a battered suitcase and a letter of recommendation from a truck stop diner in Nevada. She was 26 years old, running from a life that had fallen apart, and desperately in need of work that came with room and board. The ranch foreman, a gruff man named Dutch Calloway, had looked her up and down with skepticism. "You ever cooked for more than 5 people at a time?" he'd asked. "I've cooked for 100 truckers on a Saturday night," Emma had replied, meeting his gaze without flinching. "I can handle 30 cowboys." Dutch had hired her on the spot. The Broken Arrow was one of the largest working cattle ranches in Wyoming. 15,000 acres of rolling grassland, pine forests and rugged terrain. It employed 30 full-time ranch hands, plus seasonal workers during roundup. The kitchen was Emma's domain, and she ran it like a general commanding an army. Every morning she woke at 4 a.m. She'd fire up the massive industrial stove, brew 3 pots of coffee strong enough to strip paint, and start cooking. Scrambled eggs by the dozen, bacon by the pound, biscuits from scratch, hash browns, sausage gravy, pancakes stacked high. By 5:30, the cowboys would start filing in, dusty, tired men with weathered faces and calloused hands. They'd pile their plates high, eat in comfortable silence, and head out to work before the sun fully rose. Emma knew most of them by name. She knew who liked their eggs runny and who wanted them hard. She knew who had a sweet tooth and who couldn't stand onions. She took pride in her work, even if no one ever really thanked her for it. But there was one thing that gnawed at her, one question that hung over the ranch like a storm cloud. Who actually owned this place? 3 years ago, the original owner, a cantankerous old rancher named Samuel Garrett, had died suddenly of a heart attack. Everyone assumed his son would take over, but the son had been killed in a car accident years earlier. The ranch had been left to some distant relative, someone none of the workers had ever met. For 3 years, the ranch had been run by Dutch and a team of managers. Paychecks came on time, supplies were ordered, repairs were made, but the mysterious owner never showed up, never sent a letter, never made a single appearance. The ranch hands had their theories. Some thought the owner was a rich businessman in New York who didn't care about the place. Others thought it was a corporation waiting for the right time to sell. A few believed the whole thing was tied up in legal battles. Emma didn't care much about the gossip. She had her own problems to worry about. 2 weeks ago, everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning, just after dawn, when a stranger walked into the kitchen. Emma was pulling a tray of biscuits from the oven when she heard the door creak open behind her. She turned and saw him, a man in his early 30s, tall and lean with dark hair that needed a trim and a few days' worth of stubble on his jaw. He wore faded jeans, scuffed boots and a plain grey shirt. A worn duffel bag hung from his shoulder. He looked like every other drifter who passed through looking for work. "Kitchen's not open yet," Emma said, wiping her hands on her apron. "Breakfast is at 5:30. The man nodded slowly, his eyes scanning the kitchen, the industrial stove, the rows of plates waiting to be filled, the massive pots of coffee brewing. "I'm not here for breakfast," he said quietly. His voice was low and steady, with a hint of something Emma couldn't quite place. Education, maybe, or just weariness. "Dutch told me to report here first. Said you'd point me toward the bunkhouse." Emma raised an eyebrow. "You're the new hire?" "Guess so." "What's your name?" "Cole," he said. "Cole Garrett." Emma's hands stilled for just a moment. Garrett, the same last name as the old owner. But it was a common enough name in Wyoming. Probably just a coincidence. "Bunkhouse is out back, third building on the left," she said, turning back to her work. "Breakfast is at 5:30. Don't be late." Cole nodded and left without another word. Over the next 2 weeks, Emma noticed something strange about the new drifter. He worked harder than anyone else on the ranch. He was always the first one out in the morning and the last one back at night. He never complained, never caused trouble, and never joined in the usual banter and jokes around the dinner table. But more than that, he watched. Emma would catch him sometimes, standing at the edge of the kitchen during meals, his eyes moving over the room like he was taking inventory. He'd watch how the other ranch hands interacted, how Dutch gave orders, how the equipment was maintained. And he watched her. Not in a creepy way, at least Emma didn't think so. It was more like he was studying her, trying to figure something out. She'd look up from stirring a pot of stew and find his eyes on her, thoughtful and intense. Then he'd look away, as if embarrassed to be caught. It made her uneasy. One evening, about 10 days after Cole arrived, Emma was cleaning up the kitchen after dinner when he appeared in the doorway. "Need any help?" he asked. Emma looked up, surprised. None of the other ranch hands ever offered to help with kitchen work. It was beneath them, or so they seemed to think. "I've got it," she said. "But thanks." Cole didn't leave. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her scrub a large pot. "You do this every day?" he asked. 3 meals for 30 men. That's the job. Must be exhausting." Emma shrugged. "I've had worse jobs." There was a long pause. Then Cole spoke again, his voice quieter. "Why do you do it? Stay here, I mean. You could probably find easier work somewhere else." Emma stopped scrubbing and looked at him. It was a strange question, too personal for someone she barely knew. "Why does anyone stay anywhere?" she said finally. "I need the work. The ranch needs a cook. It's not complicated." Cole nodded slowly, but something in his expression suggested he didn't quite believe her. "What about you?" Emma asked, turning the question back on him. "Why are you here? You don't seem like the usual drifter type." Cole's jaw tightened slightly. "Just needed a place to land for a while. Running from something, aren't we all?" Emma didn't have an answer for that. The next morning, everything fell apart. Emma was in the kitchen preparing breakfast when Dutch burst through the door, his face red with anger. "We've got a problem," he said. "What kind of problem?" "The kind that might shut this whole operation down." Emma's stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" Dutch pulled off his hat and ran a hand through his graying hair. "I just got a call from the bank. Apparently, the ranch is 3 months behind on loan payments. They're threatening foreclosure if we don't come up with $50,000 in the next 30 days. Emma stared at him. "How is that possible?" "I thought the owner was handling all that." "So did I," Dutch said bitterly. "But apparently, whoever's been managing this place from afar has dropped the ball. Or maybe they just don't care anymore. What does this mean for us? It means if we can't come up with the money, the bank takes the ranch, and all of us are out of a job." Emma felt the blood drain from her face. She couldn't lose this job. She had no savings, no backup plan, nowhere to go. "There has to be something we can do," she said. "Unless you've got $50,000 lying around, I don't see how." Dutch left, slamming the door behind him. Emma stood in the silent kitchen, her hands trembling. She'd finally found a place where she felt stable, where she could breathe, where she didn't have to look over her shoulder every day. And now, it was all about to disappear. That evening, after dinner, Emma walked out to the edge of the property. The sun was setting over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It was beautiful, but Emma couldn't appreciate it. Her mind was spinning with worry. Beautiful, isn't it? She turned to find Cole standing a few feet away, hands in his pockets. "I guess," Emma said. Cole moved closer, standing beside her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "Dutch told everyone about the foreclosure," Cole said finally. Emma nodded. "Looks like we're all out of a job in 30 days. Maybe not." Emma looked at him sharply. What do you mean? Cole was quiet for a long moment, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Then he took a deep breath. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Something I should have told you from the beginning. Emma's heart started to race. What? Cole turned to face her fully, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw something vulnerable in his eyes. My name is Cole Garrett, he said. Samuel Garrett was my grandfather. I'm the owner of this ranch. Emma felt like the ground had dropped out from under her. She took a step back, staring at him in disbelief. You're... what? I inherited the ranch 3 years ago when my grandfather died, Cole continued, his voice steady but strained. But I didn't want it. I was living in Denver, working in finance, trying to build a different life. I hired managers to run the place and told myself I'd deal with it eventually, but I never did. I just let it sit. Emma's shock was quickly turning to anger. You let it sit? You let this place fall apart while 30 people depended on it for their livelihoods? I know, Cole said quietly. I know, and I'm not proud of it. That's why I came here. 2 weeks ago, I got the call from the bank. I realized I couldn't keep ignoring this. I needed to see the place for myself, see if it was worth saving or if I should just let it go. So you came here pretending to be a ranch hand? Emma's voice was rising now. You've been lying to all of us this whole time. I needed to see how things really worked, Cole said. If I'd shown up as the owner, everyone would have put on a show. I needed to see the truth. And what truth did you find? Emma demanded. That we're all just expendable? That you can swoop in, play cowboy for a couple weeks and then decide our fates? No, Cole said firmly. I found that this place is worth saving. I found that the people here, people like you, are the reason it's still standing. You've been holding this ranch together with nothing but grit and determination. And you deserve better than an absentee owner who doesn't give a damn. Emma's anger faltered slightly. So, what are you going to do? Cole met her eyes. I'm going to save it. I'm going to pay off the loan, invest in the infrastructure, and actually run this place the way my grandfather would have wanted. But I can't do it alone. I need people I can trust. People who actually care about this ranch. He paused, then added quietly, people like you. Emma didn't know what to say. Part of her was still furious at him for lying, but another part of her, a part she didn't want to acknowledge, was relieved. Relieved that someone was finally stepping up. Relieved that maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't lose everything again. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Because you're the heart of this place, Cole said simply. I've watched you for 2 weeks. You care about every single person who walks through that kitchen. You remember their names, their preferences, their stories. You work harder than anyone else here, and you never ask for recognition. This ranch doesn't run on cattle or land. It runs on people like you. Emma felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes, but she blinked them back. I don't know if I can trust you, she said. I know, Cole said. And I don't blame you, but I'm asking you to give me a chance. Help me fix this place. Help me make it what it should be. Emma looked out at the ranch, the sprawling land, the distant mountains, the buildings that had become her home. She thought about the cowboys who depended on this place, who had families to feed and bills to pay. She thought about Dutch, who'd given her a chance when no one else would. And she thought about herself, about the fact that she'd been running for so long, and maybe it was time to finally stand still. Okay, she said quietly. I'll help you. But if you screw this up, if you let these people down, I'll never forgive you. Cole nodded. Fair enough. Over the next month, everything changed at Broken Arrow Ranch. Cole paid off the loan with money from his savings and investments. He brought in contractors to repair the aging infrastructure, new roofs on the bunkhouses, updated equipment, better fencing. He sat down with Dutch and the other senior hands, listening to their concerns and ideas. And he spent hours in the kitchen with Emma, learning the rhythms of the ranch, understanding what it took to keep 30 people fed and functioning. At first, the other ranch hands were suspicious of him, but slowly, as they saw him working alongside them, getting his hands dirty, making real changes, they began to accept him. Emma watched it all unfold with a mixture of hope and caution. Cole was true to his word. He was investing in the ranch, treating the workers with respect, making decisions that prioritized the long-term health of the operation over short-term profits. But more than that, Emma found herself drawn to him in ways she hadn't expected. She saw the guilt he carried for neglecting the ranch, the determination to make things right, the quiet kindness he showed to everyone around him. One evening, about 6 weeks after Cole's revelation, Emma was sitting on the porch of the main house, watching the sunset. Cole appeared beside her, 2 mugs of coffee in his hands. "Thought you might want this," he said, handing her one. "Thanks." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, sipping their coffee. "I've been thinking," Cole said finally. "This place needs more than just repairs and money. It needs someone who actually cares about it, someone who understands what it means to the people who work here." Emma glanced at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want you to be more than just the cook," Cole said. "I want you to help me run this place. Be a partner in making decisions, managing operations, building something that lasts." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Cole, I don't know anything about running a ranch." "You know more than you think," he said. "You know the people. You know what they need. That's more valuable than any business degree." Emma looked out at the ranch, at the land that had become her home, at the life she'd built here. "Why me?" she asked quietly. Cole turned to face her, and when he spoke, his voice was soft and sincere. "Because you're the reason I decided to stay. When I came here, I was ready to sell this place and walk away. But then I saw you, how hard you worked, how much you cared, how you made this place feel like home for everyone. And I realized that's what my grandfather built. Not just a ranch, but a community. And you're at the center of it." Emma felt tears welling up again, but this time she didn't fight them. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Cole said, a small smile playing at his lips. Emma laughed through her tears. "Okay, yes." Cole reached out and took her hand, and for the first time in 3 years, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 6 months later, Broken Arrow Ranch was thriving. The cattle operation was profitable, the infrastructure was solid, and the workers were happier than they'd been in years. Emma had moved from the small room off the kitchen to a cottage on the property. She still cooked for the ranch hands. She loved that work too much to give it up entirely, but she also helped Cole with planning, budgeting, and managing the day-to-day operations. And somewhere along the way, between late-night planning sessions and early morning coffee on the porch, Emma and Cole had fallen in love. It wasn't dramatic or sudden. It was quiet and steady, built on mutual respect and shared purpose. It was the kind of love that grew from working side by side, from seeing each other at their worst and choosing to stay anyway. One evening, as they stood together watching the sunset over the mountains, Cole turned to Emma. "I have something for you," he said. He pulled a small box from his pocket and opened it, revealing a simple silver ring. "It's not fancy," he said, "but it belonged to my grandmother. She wore it every day while she and my grandfather built this ranch together, and I thought, maybe you'd want to wear it too, as we build our future together." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She looked at the ring, then at Cole, then back at the ranch spread out before them. "Are you asking me to marry you?" she whispered. "I'm asking you to be my partner," Cole said, "in every sense of the word. To build this life together, to make this ranch everything it can be, to create something that lasts." Emma didn't hesitate. "Yes." Cole slipped the ring onto her finger, and they stood there together, 2 people who'd been running from their pasts, who had found each other in the most unlikely place, who'd built something real and lasting from the ashes of what came before. Emma had spent 3 years feeding 30 cowboys, never knowing that. The quiet drifter who showed up one morning would change everything. That he would save the ranch, give her a future, and show her that sometimes. The life you're meant to live is the one you never saw coming. And as the sun set over Broken Arrow Ranch, Emma realized something. She was finally home. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, drop a comment below. Have you ever discovered something about someone that completely changed how you saw them? What would you have done in Emma's situation? And if you want more stories about unexpected love, second chances, and life on the ranch, hit that subscribe button. There are plenty more stories to tell. Until next time, trust the journey.